Hey, what's going on, y'all? So I got an interesting video today, and I'm gonna talk about the origin of logic. And I simply want to say that to make this a very concise video, that logic is basically the intelligent design of creation revealed by its creator. There's a correlation between logic, life, and mind. And I just want to explore that for a second. You see, let me start biblically. Biblically, even in Genesis, it talks about the Spirit of God moved across the face of the deep, when everything started in the beginning, right? You have to understand that before there was a consciousness, a spirit, there was a void. It was emptiness. It was nothing. You know, words like deep, darkness, that there's no logic in that. So let's talk about when that life started to create laws and manifest creation. Their order through the laws that were spoken by the Creator was creation established. And you can believe what you want, but the alternative is that science has nothing to offer you. A Big Bang explosion, causeless, random, accidental. Somebody explain the logic in that of how and why from nothing would everything just explode. Where did it come from? And all of these baseless theories the science will continue to purport over the fundamental logic that creation comes from a creator, a mind comes from a perfect mind, and life comes from life. So let's just talk about that for a second. Interesting enough, without a mind, that's more than just chemicals, because let's talk about chemicals. Chemicals just react. They don't think. They don't think. And if everything was chemical, they would be predetermined by how chemicals come together, so everything would just be as they came together. That's not how or what we observed in real reality. So, started with man, who has a mind. The whole consciousness of man comes from the Spirit of God that lives in man, that gives him the mind, a reflection made and constructed in the image of his creator, to even be able to rationalize and understand our creator's creation. That mind, an immaterial attribute, it's not materialism, because true atheists are 100% materialist. And they're the law of logic, justice, morality. All of these are immaterial attributes that don't evolve. Even science doesn't have any understanding of how life supposedly came from non-life, which is a bad way to place things, because life only comes from life. That's what we see when you talk about reverse engineering of nature, trial and error through experiences, functional patterns and processes that exist in nature. There's nothing that shows that any of the foundational sciences which go against natural law are right. Let's be real. Science that is pretty much purported and accepted today is not based on the natural laws that come from a creator. They're just theories and subjective imaginative nonsense, because the world has created this situation where there are agendas by the authorities, the people that run the world, to diminish the value of life, to control the purpose and meaning that people attribute to life, so that people can be controlled by the most evil and vain things such as greed, lust, vanity, ego, etc. These are the things that actually cause society to erupt in violence and chaos and actually move in a more illogical pattern. Because none of those things actually help in terms of people, number one, life to sustain itself functionally and also be in homeostasis with the environment. All that is lost. We see what happens when greed goes without wisdom. Well, we see corporations now that will destroy the entire rainforest, that will destroy our clean water supply and all the things that we use and need to live to make money, quick money, to mass produce, most of which will eventually be wasted. It's not efficient. Logic is based on the results that show efficiency, that show the correct way to do something, using and applying the correct method that proves itself by its results. Now let's talk about that logic actually predates man, and it existed before any man was able to observe and understand it. So it's not something that man had a direct influence in creating. So we found ourselves placed in a creation with established laws from its creator, that already were in function and had proven purposes that will reveal themselves through the efficacy and veracity of their function to show results. See, we ignore the results in this world. Even the Bible is a law book. The laws of God are congruent with the laws that exist in man. And anyone who denies that is a liar. The Bible is not an unscientific book. It's a book that exposes the evils of people that lie and will, to their grave, deny the truth. And the truth is simply nobody wants to be murdered. Nobody wants to be stolen from. Nobody wants to be lied to. Nobody wants their existence diminished because of idolatry or how we place things and materialism above the actual quality and sanctity of life. No one wants to be in that situation. So we can agree that the laws of the Bible are congruent with us, and it makes sense that us being made in the image, the spiritual image of our Creator, are imprinted with His law in our mind and in our hearts, so that there is no excuse. And I find myself reading it's Romans, in the book of Romans in the Bible, and this is starting at Romans 1, and we can start at let's start at Romans 1, 19, verses 19 and 20. It says, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath shewed it unto them. And 20 says, for the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. The very creation that we see, that we take for granted because it's just established in all its glory, shows the evidence of God. There's no explosion anywhere through any experiment, an explosion of chaos that will produce the structured environment that we witness in creation. There's nothing in creation that didn't have a creator. So this idea of spontaneous creation of matter and all this, there's no precedent to even believe that, which makes it the most illogical theories. And again, I will have to say that because logic predates man and existed before us, all we can do is observe it. Even our minds are designed in the image of the Creator's mind to be able to reason correctly in his creation. Now, I emphasize the word correctly. You can look at the concepts of why numbers, language, sound, light, movement, everything is based on preset principles and properties that already exist in our minds. By the not exist in our minds, but exist in creation. And our minds are designed to process the creation being made in the image of the mind of our Creator. it makes sense, the logic follows. If everything was merely materialism, predetermined chemical reactions, thinking wouldn't even be possible. I said this before, it wouldn't be possible. Because chemicals don't think, they just react. They're hardwired, and chemical reactions are just hardwired by their intrinsic properties and attributes. But see, we think, folks, we make choices. People can actually choose to be illogical. So everything, like an atheistic secular worldview is not about survival or procreation. You have suicide, you have alternative lifestyle, same-sex relationships. There are plenty of things that go against logical design that people will choose to do, even with observing the detrimental consequences and results. It happens all the time. Choices, folks. Again, atheism has no known creator. It assumes everything is causeless, random, and accidental. Where's the logic in that? Where's the logic from the Big Bang that all things came from nothing? Where did it come from? Why did it explode? You know, these unanswered questions are foundational to the foundation they built evolution on, because you need to describe why there had to be billions and billions and billions of years. And I did a video talking about the flaws and the lies of so-called carbon radiometric dating, and how it's been proven by science to be false, and it has a lot of holes in it that they won't expose, because they want you to believe that you are an evolved ape. They want you to believe that your life is, that you're just nothing compared to the macro creation, because then they can tell you what your purpose and your destiny is over the self-evident purpose and revealed meaning coming from your creator. And like I said, that Bible is a law book based on the laws that exist within us. You can follow those laws and it will actually produce desired results that will prove themselves beneficial to your life. It proves that the structure within that book actually will improve and protect you from destroying yourself. It will expose the evil, because we have the choice to deny the perfect will, revealed real will of our creator, and put ourselves in a form of self-destruction, exposing the fact that we have evil living in our flesh, because we can choose to deny the written will of our creator and create our own versions of right and wrong. And that has been proven to be detrimental through the experiences that we all can testify from. Okay, I'm gonna try to wrap this up. And so secular worldview offers no whys or hows in any objective or logical, provable way. It just theorizes in a very subjective, imaginative ideology that something, in quotations, exists that is beyond all comprehension. We don't know what it is. We just can't call it God, because that would mean that we can't make up our own rules or epistemology, which is how we know what we know, to fit our agendas. You know, we understand that this world is full of preset narratives, so that basically life can be orchestrated in a way in which the value of life is diminished and the evils and selfish desires of man can be justified by a small minority of people who control how everyone survives and moves. We see that now. We see that playing out right in front of us. This false information, controlling the flow of information by flooding with lies and misinformation through institutionalized doctrines that are false and lies, so that people will believe anything and everything that comes through these institutions. Basically give the governments of the world unmitigated power to take control over everyone, to determine what you should think, what you should do, how you should live. This is what this is all about. And see, by withholding the truth of things and replacing it with a scripted indoctrination of false knowledge, those few, again, are allowed to have that unmitigated power and control, disguised in a system that gives an illusion of sovereignty and influence, while the objective reality will prove that force, violence, fear, lies, indoctrination, and misinformation are the main tools to maintain their position over everyone else. So this world is not using laws established by the creator, which actually sets us all free, which actually proves that the world was already preset and designed for us to survive in it without destroying it. Trees produce fruit, the ground produce herb yielding seed. We had a means for everyone to feed themselves and not have to go to grocery stores and use corporations to feed ourselves. But now they can control what you eat, the chemicals they placed in your food. They made individual farming basically illegal. Most farms are corporate owned now, so you don't even know what you're eating. They're genetic modifying the food, and the soil is poisoned. All these things are going on because we want to deny the intrinsic logic of creation that our creator made self-evident, so that we wouldn't have to trust authoritative governing bodies and have this blind faith that these people who are just about money and power will have our best interests at heart. I mean, it should be pretty obvious. And I have to sound kind of redundant, so I'm almost done. But by withholding the truth of things and replacing it with these lies is why these agendas are occurring. See, logic would exist again even if there were no people to witness it. We have to remember that it's something that can be manipulated, and we're being placed in a deception of false information to distort what actual logic is based on the proven results. And we're put in this subjective, imaginative world where you don't have to show anything. You just believe it because it's coming through institutions that basically say that your knowledge isn't worth anything unless it's coming and approved by some authority figure. And authority figures are people who establish positions by force or wealth or some means of corruption. So we have to think about these things. Also, logic being an immaterial attribute, our mind has a very order and specific design to even process and make sense of logic. That is self-evident. We don't need somebody to think for us. But they've gotten away from education, and it's about indoctrination, telling you what to think and not how to think. Again, chemical reactions don't think, folks, but they want you to believe that you're just a bag of chemicals, that you have no spirit, no consciousness, even though those are all ethereal or immaterial attributes that come from the Spirit of God, which lives in you, which is why you can relate to the creation that was created. Because if you're just a pile of dirt, you wouldn't be able to have none of these immaterial attributes that we all apply in our everyday life and complain and expect. We expect justice. Well, how would a moist bag of dirt expect justice if you're just that? And there's more to us, but they don't want you to know the truth of who you are, because that already fits the revealed purpose coming from our creator to create a book that everyone who's honest with themselves would see as the truth, because it's already written in us. It's just a book to basically have the majority of people who are honest with ourselves have a source of truth that we can use as a standard to expose the lies and evils within ourselves and the world. And again, we need consciousness to even reason patterns and create logic out of creation. And this requires an ethereal mind that comes from a perfect mind that created the order and logic of creation for understanding. So I just want to leave it at that, y'all. It's a very deep subject, but I just wanted to put that out there and have a little conversation. Peace out.